Tyrant Empire episode 8. Let's go. Today I am not going to talk as close to the mic as I did yesterday. I noticed that was obnoxious. But today I'm going to go over, mastering the mindset of success. Obviously I'm not worth, $100 million like I plan to be. So there is a slight hindrance in my mind about imposter syndrome. This is something that's very common with people. I'm no exception to that. Let's turn that off real quick. So, but anyway, it's normal. It's totally fine. My mindset has changed dramatically the past year that I've really been focusing on it. So, I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that I'm going to achieve my goals. So I would like to share some things that have definitely helped me out. I'm sure they'll help some of you out. But basically, yes. Mastering the mindset of success. Point number 1 is the power of positive thinking. Now, this one is probably one of the most controversial aspects of, I would say, success, because there's a lot of hocus pocus bullshit out there that is, it just kind of depends really how you look at it, but the fact that people believe that if you think about something, repeatedly over and over and over, that it's just going to magically appear, like The Secret, for example, if you've ever heard of that. There is a story in there that there's a little kid who really wanted a bicycle, so he kept imagining, a bicycle. He was dreaming about a bicycle. He was cutting out pictures of bicycles, and eventually his grandfather surprised him by bringing him a bicycle one day. That kind of stuff definitely, it is kind of controversial, because in that aspect, if someone's going to be obsessing over a bicycle, and obviously if he has like a birthday or something, it's kind of tough to talk about in that aspect, because if someone I know is really obsessing over something like a bicycle, and I'm like, oh, his birthday's coming up, I'm gonna get him a bicycle, or I see a bicycle for sale, like that kind of stuff is kind of, that kind of stuff happens, but the fact that people will just sit there and think of, I want $1 billion to magically appear in my bank account, and they just spend all this time, envisioning money and all this stuff, whereas they aren't putting forth any action or effort to achieve something that will bring in that money. That is, in my personal opinion and experience, that is the law of attraction. You have to not only envision it to keep your mind focused on your goal, but once you focus on your goal, all your actions are going to, if you stay focused, are going to, steer you in the right direction to your goal. So that's my take on it. There are tons of different people who have different takes on it. Bob Proctor, Tony Robbins, all these gentlemen who have studied this, they all kind of work the same way that I've come to understand. So that is my take on it. But if you think about it, the only thing you can control in your life is your mind. I mentioned this in a previous episode, but I just want to stress this, that you cannot control other people's actions, you cannot control the weather, you cannot control anything that really happens aside from, your bodily movements and the way you process information. So if something bad happens, you need to think logically, not emotionally. You have to think positively, regardless of how bad it is, because no matter how bad something is, it will get better. Now, you may be going through something really tough right now. You might think that this is the end of a lot of things, something you may have been working for a long time. Someone may have passed on that really meant a lot to you. It will subside. So you have to think logically, not emotionally. Think about the solution to the problem, not the problem itself. You need to eliminate self-destructive thoughts, because most of all your problems are way worse in your head than they actually are in reality. It's easier said than done. It will take some time, obviously, but it will get better. And yeah, positive thinking is crucial to not only success and everything, but just being a happier individual. Because if anything happens and you just react to it like, oh, fuck this, like, my life's over, every day, every other day, every week, you're not going to be a happy person, or you're not going to be a happy person. You're not going to be a good person to be around. People aren't going to want to be around someone who's always, in a bad mood or just flipping out, always have something to complain about. So positive thinking, very crucial. Something that's really helped me out. Point number 2, resilience and bouncing back from failure. Now this kind of plays into positive thinking, but if you are someone who never gives up no matter what happens, no matter how bad something might have turned out, how bad people might think of you, anything like that, if you continue to push forward, if you continue to be tenacious, there is no doubt in my mind that you will not only achieve great things, but you will also grow immensely as a person. Because if you look at every time you fail as an opportunity to learn from that, like that's the game right there. Because failure is learning. That is something that's really helped me out a lot, because I was insecure about a lot of shit, basically. So once I learned that failing is part of learning and not something that you should avoid, that changes the game right there. So failure is part of learning. You need to bounce back from your failures. Like, if you fail, no matter how big of a fuck up it might have been, bounce back. Continue to push forward, because chances are you won't make that mistake again, 1. And 2, you're now stronger than you were because you have knowledge that you learned from that mistake. So, yeah, don't give up. And I really like to think on because babies, when they learn to walk or crawl, they're always falling and like tripping and all this stuff. But they don't give up. Babies don't give up. It's their instinct to, want to crawl and walk. If babies gave up after falling and, bonking their head or something, humans would be basically non-existent. Like, we would if we were designed to give up at the slightest inconvenience through pain or unfortunate circumstance, we would die out as a species. But it's in us to just continue pushing at a very, very, very young age, when we're infants. And some people just kind of lose that as they get older. They just, become complacent and they just lose their drive. So do not give up. Look at failure as a positive thing, and just keep learning, keep growing. And then the final point I want to touch on with this little episode, I guess, I'm going to be covering this in future episodes as well, but overcoming self-limiting beliefs. Now, people refuse to do something out of fear of being judged or just fear of failure because there is someone out there who's already really good at doing something. So let's take a basketball player, for example. Someone like Kobe, rest in peace. He was a really good basketball player, obviously, but he was never. He wasn't just born one of the greatest. Okay, he was one of the hardest working players in NBA's history. I don't watch basketball. I'm not familiar with the sport that much, but all of the research I do through podcasts and self-development stuff, Kobe came up a lot because he was one of the hardest working people in the sport. So he was not the best basketball player to start out with, but he was the hardest working player. And something like that mindset, again, is crucial. But saying that, oh, they're a professional, I'll never be that good, that is a weak thing to think about, because no one that you know, whether they're on TV, famous athlete or something, they were never born great at what they do. So they practiced and failed to get to the point where they're at now. So what I'm getting at is they refused to give up. They did not have self-limiting beliefs. So no matter how bad shit gets, if you truly believe that you can do something, you can do it. And that kind of plays into everything I talked about here. Power of positive thinking, resilience, and bouncing back from failures, and then overcoming self-limiting beliefs. So just some stuff to think about, stuff that's really helped me out. And I have a few more bullet points here that I'll touch on tomorrow. So if you have anything else that you would like me to cover, any topics, regarding technology, AI, cryptocurrency, dating, women, mindset, business, success, anything, let me know. If you want to join my network, there are plenty of links in the description, so hit me up. But with that said, I gotta get going. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.